On the night of October 11, 2025, a thunderous explosion shattered the silence deep within Russian-occupied territory. The darkness was suddenly pierced by a fireball so bright it turned night into day, visible for miles around. This was not just another skirmish at the front. It was a strike that reached far behind enemy lines, in a place thought to be untouchable. The target was a Russian fuel train, heavily loaded with millions of dollars worth of diesel and gasoline. In a single, meticulously planned attack, the entire convoy was obliterated. The flames consumed not just fuel, but also the sense of invulnerability that had settled over the region. This was no accident. It was a deliberate message sent deep into the heart of occupied territory. Nowhere is safe, no matter how far from the front lines you think you are. The strike took place 35 kilometers behind Russian lines, in a zone previously considered beyond the reach of Ukrainian forces. This was a logistical hub, a lifeline for Russian operations, now reduced to smoldering wreckage. Russian soldiers stationed there believed they were secure, insulated from the chaos of the front. Some were even relaxing, confident in their distance from danger. But the war, relentless and unpredictable, found them anyway. The destruction was devastating, both physically and psychologically. The illusion of safety was shattered in an instant, replaced by fear and uncertainty. The charred remains of the train stood as a stark reminder that the front lines are now everywhere. Panic erupted in the Russian command centers. Officers scrambled to determine what had happened. Was it a missile strike, an act of sabotage, or something entirely new? Confusion reigned as they tried to piece together the source of the devastation. The truth was even more unsettling. 4 Ukrainian drone pilots, using off-the-shelf equipment that cost less than a gaming laptop, had orchestrated the attack. With ingenuity and precision, they had bypassed traditional defenses and struck a crippling blow. The result was catastrophic. 55 tanker cars erupted in a chain reaction, sending plumes of fire and smoke into the night sky. The inferno raged for over 24 hours, disrupting supply lines and sowing chaos. For Ukraine, this was more than a tactical victory. It was a triumph of innovation and disruption. For Russia, it was a wake-up call, a stark warning that their rear areas were no longer safe havens. The attack exposed the vulnerability of even the most fortified supply routes. What was once considered secure was now revealed to be dangerously exposed to new forms of warfare. Expensive anti-aircraft systems designed to stop traditional threats proved useless against small, agile drones. The old rules of defense no longer applied. The age of drone warfare had truly arrived, rewriting the rules of the battlefield. Technology and creativity now trumped brute force and heavy armor. This single event sent shockwaves through Russian ranks. Officers and soldiers alike were forced to confront a new reality, one where the enemy could strike anywhere, at any time. The flames lighting up the night were more than just destruction. They were a symbol of a new kind of war, one defined by speed, surprise, and innovation. The future of warfare had arrived, carried not by tanks or jets, but by 4 small drones, silently rewriting the balance of power from above. The fuel train was supposed to be invincible, protected by electronic jamming, anti-air batteries, and distance. Russian planners believed their digital walls and mobile air defenses made the train untouchable. Systems like the Pantsir S-1 guarded the route, ready to destroy any threat. At 35 kilometers from the front, the train was beyond the reach of typical FPV drones. The Russians trusted their technology and the sheer distance as their best defense. But the attack proved their confidence was misplaced. Expensive, complex systems were outsmarted by ingenuity and audacity. The burning wreck became a monument to a new era of warfare. The masterminds? 4 young Ukrainians from the Phantom's drone unit. Their names are secret, but their impact is undeniable. These pilots, a mix of gamers and patriots, operated from hidden bunkers with basic, custom-built FPV drones. Each drone cost about $3,000, far less than a single missile. In total, $12,000 in drones destroyed a $3 million target. This is asymmetric warfare at its sharpest. The pilots trained relentlessly, mastering flight without GPS and under jamming. Their mission was the result of weeks of planning and selection for skill and nerve. They flew far beyond normal limits, deep into hostile territory. The risks were enormous, but so was the potential reward. Success would mean a strategic victory. These digital ghosts haunted the enemy where they least expected. How did short-range drones reach so deep? Ingenuity. The team used analog video transmission, which degrades but doesn't cut out, letting skilled pilots fly through static. A larger repeater drone, launched by a separate team, acted as a relay in the sky. This bridge doubled the drone's range, allowing them to reach the target. The operation required perfect timing and coordination. If the repeater was lost, the mission would fail. Analog video's resilience to jamming gave the pilots a fighting chance. This approach turned simple tech into a strategic weapon. Necessity drove innovation, and it worked. The 4 drone pilots were just the tip of the spear, the visible face of a much larger and more intricate operation unfolding behind the scenes. Intelligence teams worked tirelessly, tracking the train's every movement for weeks. They analyzed satellite images, intercepted communications, and monitored digital maps, all to pinpoint the perfect moment to strike when the target would be most vulnerable. Meanwhile, electronic warfare teams sprang into action. They created a corridor of electronic noise, jamming enemy radars and countering Russian attempts to disrupt the mission. Their efforts blinded Russian defenses, making it nearly impossible to detect the incoming drones. Another specialized team managed the repeater drone, a critical link in the chain. They risked detection and enemy fire to keep the communication signal strong and uninterrupted, ensuring the pilots could control the drones far beyond normal range. Each group played a vital role, from gathering and analyzing intelligence to providing real-time support for the pilots. Their coordination allowed for rapid decision-making and instant responses to changing battlefield conditions. The operation was a true symphony of coordination, not a solo act. Dozens of experts, from analysts to technicians, worked in perfect harmony, each contributing their unique skills to the mission's success. In total, dozens of individuals contributed to the mission, each one essential to the outcome. Their combined expertise turned a complex plan into a seamless execution. The pilots depended on this vast network for up-to-the-minute information, technical support, and the extended range needed to reach deep behind enemy lines. This high level of integration and teamwork is what truly sets Ukraine's drone operations apart from others. It's a model of modern warfare, blending technology and human expertise. It's not just about flying drones, it's about orchestrating a complex, multi-team attack where every second and every decision counts. The result? A devastating precision strike deep behind enemy lines, made possible by the seamless collaboration of Ukraine's best and brightest. As the drones entered Russian airspace, electronic warfare erupted. Russian jamming turned video feeds to static. GPS was spoofed, navigation scrambled. The pilots flew blind, relying on memory, faint landmarks, and timing. Training and nerve were everything. Panic meant failure. Each pilot fought a solitary battle against invisible interference. They described it as flying through a ghost, feeling the enemy's presence but never seeing it. Pulse flying became their tactic. Short bursts of control during brief signal clarity. Ukrainian teams pulsed their own jamming to create windows of opportunity. It was a high-stakes cat-and-mouse game. Every second counted. One mistake meant mission failure. The psychological pressure was immense, but skill and patience kept the drones on course. The digital minefield was crossed, barely. Surviving the jamming, the drones faced Russian anti-air defenses. As they neared the target, radars locked on and missiles launched. The first drone acted as a decoy, drawing fire and revealing enemy positions. It was destroyed, but not before buying time for the others. The remaining 3 drones took a different low route, hugging the terrain to avoid detection. Flying at night, with degraded video, they dodged obstacles and enemy fire. The pilots communicated in terse bursts, calling out threats and confirming positions. The decoy's sacrifice created a brief window. The mission was on a knife's edge. The pilots threaded the needle, pushing through the final defenses. The tension was electric. Success or failure hung in the balance. The window was closing fast. The target was finally within reach. With the enemy's defenses finally suppressed, the 3 hunter drones began their final approach, gliding low and silent through the darkness. Their mission was clear, and there was no turning back now. Each second brought them closer to their target, and the tension in the control room was palpable. Through the haze and static of their night vision feeds, the fuel train emerged, a long, shadowy line snaking across the tracks, its tankers glinting faintly under the moonlight. This was the moment they had trained for. This was a one-way mission. Each drone was more than just a machine. It was a guided missile, programmed for destruction, with no hope of return. The pilots knew the risks, but their focus never wavered. The pilots worked in perfect coordination. The first pilot locked onto the locomotive, aiming to bring the entire train to a halt and cut off any chance of escape. He dove, making a final, minute adjustment to his trajectory. The world narrowed to a single point, and then the feed went black. Impact. The second pilot's target was a central fuel tanker. His goal? Ignite the volatile cargo and unleash a firestorm that would consume the train. He held his course, heart pounding, as the world rushed toward him. Suddenly, static filled the screen, a direct hit, and flames erupted. The third pilot's mission was critical: ensure a chain reaction that would maximize the destruction and leave nothing behind. He targeted another tanker, sending his drone hurtling into the inferno, determined to spread the blaze along the length of the train. He dove straight into the chaos, the screen erupting in a final burst of light before going dark forever. 3 precise strikes, 3 devastating impacts. In a matter of seconds, the mission was complete, and the night was torn apart by fire and thunder. The pilots, watching from afar, knew they had delivered their payload with deadly accuracy. Their drones were gone, but their objective was achieved. The train was engulfed in a raging inferno, flames leaping high into the night sky, illuminating the devastation for miles around. The operation's success was undeniable. The destruction of the fuel train would cripple enemy supply lines and shift the balance of power. The battlefield had changed forever. In the aftermath, only smoke, fire, and the echoes of destruction remained, a stark reminder of the point of no return. The result was instant and overwhelming, a chain reaction of explosions. The $3 million train became a 3-kilometer inferno. For $12,000, Ukraine had crippled Russian logistics for weeks. The psychological impact was even greater. Nowhere is safe, not even deep behind the lines. The attack erased the idea of a secure rear area. Every Russian soldier now faced the fear of unseen threats from above. This was the democratization of air power, small teams with cheap tech achieving strategic effects. The future of warfare had arrived: disposable, effective drones leveling the playing field. Innovation and courage now rivaled expensive hardware. The lesson was clear: adapt or be left behind. The drone war had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. The battlefield is everywhere.